Hey everyone, welcome to another top 10 list. This week's top 10 list was suggested a few weeks ago when I did my top 10 $10 bills. Someone asked, have I done a top 10 $5 small size notes? I may have not, but I figure this is as good a time as any to run this particular list. So with that, let's get started. Number 10. Well, if I should start this way, I guess. Honorable mention, of course, would be the $5 bill in your pocket. I don't have to show you what that looks like, but that would be the honorable mention. All right, number 10 on the list. I went with the small head $5 note. This is the Federal Reserve note that you guys are, when you think of older notes, this is probably the image of a $5 bill that you get. I just pulled this one out of my envelope with small size notes. The $5 note with the small head on there. Very interesting note, very classic look in the fives here. Easy to find, hard to find in decent condition because the lower denominations like the ones and the fives have always been, well, heavily circulated. So that one's number 10 on my list. Number 9. Going back a little bit, this is a silver certificate. This particular one happens to be from 1953A. Silver certificates, they say silver certificate right across the top, but the first thing you're going to notice about them is that blue seal. Generally, when you see a blue seal, that's going to scream silver certificate to you. Blue serial numbers, blue seals, and of course the small head imagery. This one is 19, like I said, 1953, the 53A series. The back does not have "In God We Trust," but that is the standard back that you see on most of the small size certificates. So that is number 9, 1953 silver certificate. Number 8 on the list. I pulled out another one. This one is from 1934, 1934A to be more specific. Now this one I like. I'm very fond of this particular series because you get this blue numeral on this side. You've got the numeral on the other silver certificate. It's just gray and kind of fades into the black or into the background. And actually, if you look real close, those are black lines. It's just made to look gray because they're thin lines spread apart. But yeah, I prefer the blue. So the 1934 series is my favorite series of silver certificates just because you get that blue numeral. You also get a larger seal. That's another thing I guess I can show real quick here. The newer notes have the small seal and the older notes have the larger seal. So you get the two good reasons for that. And of course, still no "In God We Trust" on the back, still constitutional money. Anyway, that one is number 8, 10, 9, 8. Number 7 on the list. I've got a $5 legal tender United States note, $5 United States note. These were produced up until 1963. This one is a 63. Thought it was a 53 at first glance. Legal tenders are designated by their red seal and the red serial numbers. This particular one's in pretty good shape too. The standard small size note. Now, it would have been cool if instead of doing the gray, if they would have done a red digit, that would have been really cool. But no, they stuck with the gray version. And once again, the backs are all the same. The only difference you're going to find on the backs is this one here says "In God We Trust." These here don't. And imagine going through these. All the backs are the same with the exception of "In God We Trust." So that's kind of neat. If you were to go through your notes this way, you'd never even know. These could all slip right by you. All right, so that's 10, 9, 8, 7. Number 6. Well, much like the silver certificates, the red seals also had a movement of the seal in and of itself. This one is the 1928. There we go, 1928 red seal, United States legal tender note. Now, legal tender means that there was a law passed that said so much money had to be in circulation. A silver certificate means that there was silver backing the particular note. And of course, Federal Reserve note means the Federal Reserve are the ones ensuring the value of the note. The red seals did the same thing that the silver certificates did. They moved the seal from this side to this side, and they shrunk it. So if we look here, you can see the two. This one is the modern, well, more modern one, and it's a small seal versus the large seal here on the 1928. So moving them over like that, yeah, I'd say these are definitely two different variations of a red seal $5 bill. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. All right, number 5. When you're doing small size notes, here is a Federal Reserve banknote. Okay, now, like I said, Federal Reserve note was guaranteed by the Federal Reserve. Silver backed by silver, legal tenders backed by a law. This is considered, as you see on top, national currency. Now, what this particular note is, as you can see here, if you read it, it tells you exactly what it is. National currency secured by the United States bonds deposited with the Treasurer of the United States of America or by like deposit of other securities. The Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, Illinois will pay the bearer on demand $5. So, how does this differ from a Federal Reserve note? Well, the Federal Reserve note basically states that the money is good according to the Federal Reserve. This note, as you can see here, specifically says the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago will pay the bearer. Not the Federal Reserve, but the specific Chicago Federal Reserve. That's why this is known as a Federal Reserve banknote. It's got the brown seal there. Chicago has G, so they use G for the letters, G to start the serial number, and of course the back is the same. So that is a Federal Reserve banknote. All right, what do we got? Number 4. Along those same lines, another national currency. This one, all of this says the same stuff. You can see right here, national currency secured by United States bonds deposited with the Treasurer of the United States of America. But this one says First Wisconsin National Bank of Milwaukee, Wisconsin will pay to the bearer on demand $5. Rather than just relying on the 12 Federal Reserve banks, banks themselves, individual banks, could get a charter number if they could prove that they were decent banks. If they could prove they had money to back everything up, they'd be given a charter number and then could put on deposit money or bonds and then have notes printed with their name on it. So whereas this note is backed by the Federal Reserve Bank of Chicago, this note specifically is backed by the National Bank of Milwaukee. And there are 15,000 different national banks that could have put out notes like this. So that is number 4. Number 3. The first issue of Federal Reserve notes, here is a 1928 Federal Reserve note, is different than the regular small size note in a couple of ways. To start with, the obligation is different. The current obligation is this note is legal tender for all debts, public and private. And this one says redeemable in gold on demand at the United States Treasury or in gold or lawful money at any Federal Reserve Bank. Because in 1928, gold was still legal. So this was exchangeable for gold. 1934, they changed that law and then removed gold from the note. It's funny how people will call these gold certificates. They're not gold certificates. They're still Federal Reserve notes, but the promise was there to exchange it for gold. Now, being the 1928 version, the other thing you're going to notice is the size of the seal. Once again, huge seal versus a smaller seal like that. But most importantly about this note, and of course, let me show you the back real quick, just like all the others, the cool part about this note is instead of using the letter, they use the number. So 3 would be C. You can see that here. C here, 33333, C here. And you can read that Philadelphia, Pennsylvania is the 3rd district, and that is given the designation C. So that's the 1928 $5 note. Cool one to add to your collection because, like I said, that is the thing that stands out the most. Number 2, during World War II, we had emergency currency. And the $5 note here, this one from Hawaii, the $5 notes are the tough ones to get. The Hawaii note has Hawaii printed on this side. They use the pretty much the same brown. Let's see if you can, it's pretty much the same brown ink that they used for the nationals like that. Very, very close anyway. The Hawaii note has Hawaii also overprinted on the back, and with the exception of that back overprint, once again, the backs are still the same. Looking at this one up in the front, you can see here, it does use the letters, so this one's San Francisco. That one is number 2, the Hawaii emergency currency. This was put out just to make sure that just in case Japan invaded Hawaii, with the swipe of a pen, all these notes could be rendered useless and Japan could not fund their army with our currency. So that's number 2. And number 1, well, if I went the Hawaii note for number 2, you know the North Africa note is going to be number 1. Just a stunning note with the gold and the blue with the black background and green on the back. One of the more colorful notes that you're going to see in American currency. Once again, the 5 is also the tough denomination. The 5 is the one that people are always keying on, and the harder one to come by. Like I said, one of my favorites. That's why it easily made the number 1 spot. Yes, it does have the same back as all the other ones. So that is my top 10 small size $5 notes. It's a list that you guys could put together in your own collections fairly easily. None of these are extremely pricey. This particular one is probably the most expensive, and even then, you're still probably under $100. So yeah, a very easy set to put together. All right, if you guys learned anything new, go ahead and hit that like button. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please subscribe. I love reading all your comments. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.